These are the plaintiffs, William and Verona Owens. Verona says they rented a house to the defendant, who didn't tell them he smoked. And when the guy moved out of the place, it was like a disaster movie. The smell of nicotine was unbearable. There were burn marks on the floors and bizarre permanent magic marker arrows all over the walls. They had to spend an enormous amount of money fumigating the place. The defendant is refusing to pay them the $829.71 they spent on renovations. And they're suing for just that. Today. This is the defendant, James Russell Cumberland. He says he doesn't understand why the plaintiffs are suing him, because they were best friends when he rented their house. He truly loved them and doesn't know why he's being sued. Bottom line, his lease said he was allowed to smoke on the property. He only smoked outside, and he did not do all that damage. The plaintiffs are trying to pin the blame on him, so he's not paying them a penny more than the $400 security deposit they've already kept from him. He's accused of lighting up a lawsuit.
All parties, please use your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiffs say their tenant, the defendant, smoked like a chimney in their apartment, and it was so bad they had to spend a fortune cleaning it out, getting the smell out for the next tenant. But the defendant says he and the plaintiffs were best friends one time. His lease states he's allowed to smoke in the house, and he owes them nothing. It's the case of lighting things up.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
All right, Mr. and Mrs. Owen, you own this 5-acre plot with a couple of different mobile homes on it. At some point, you had a vacancy because someone's parent passed away of yours, and you end up renting it to him. What year did you start renting to him?
We rented it to him on June the 17th, 2014.
Okay. Wow. So he was living there for a nice long time.
6 years.
Yeah. While you were living there, you were neighbors because you actually live in a different mobile home on the same property, correct?
Yes, correct.
Would you consider yourselves friends as well?
Not close friends.
Did you ever socialize or no?
No. Yeah, just here on the property.
But would you socialize there on the property, or you would only see him when you pass each other? I got it. All right. So then what ends up happening? At some point, he moves out, and why is it that he moves out after 6 years?
We had put the property up as an investment property. We were selling the property. We listed it in, I told Mr. Cumberland back in June of last year that we were planning on doing it. And then in February, we contacted a realtor, and we had it listed as an investment property with tenants in place.
All right, so you let him know that that's going to happen, and I guess you tell him, you'll still be able to live here, but he decides,
correct.
Mr. Cumberland, you decide you're going to be proactive, and you decide that you're going to leave. Were you in the middle of a lease when you did that, or no? You were on a month-to-month?
I've only signed one lease there on that property, and that was the first year I moved in.
Okay, so since that time, you were just on a month-to-month?
Obviously, yes.
Okay, so you end up moving out. There's a $400 deposit, and they keep your $400. Did you ever say, hey, where's my $400 security deposit, and say you wanted it back?
I actually traded them my deposit for a washer and dryer that was on their property. She agreed to give me a washer and dryer that had been in the place since I moved in there, in return that I forfeit my $400 deposit.
Does that sound familiar, Ms. Owens, or no?
My husband talked to him about that before we ever seen the house after he moved out.
Okay, come on, you know that.
Well, it does. Oddly, she's giving you credit for the $400 anyway in her damages. It's not like she's not giving you the credit, so I'm not sure we need to dwell on that. But let me just ask you out of curiosity, Mr. Owens, did you ever tell him, hey, instead of us paying you back security deposit, will you take this washer dryer? Did that happen, Mr. Owens? Mr. Owens, Mr. Owens. You whack your wife and then answer. Go ahead.
No, he did. He had asked me if he could buy the washer and dryer. And then I talked to the wife, and she said he could have it for the deposit.
Oh, that's exactly what he said. All right. But in any event, let's talk about the damages. You go in there, and you had never been in there in 6 years, Ms. Owens?
I never went in past the living room.
Okay. Ms. Owens, tell me what you see when you go in and inspect the place after he vacates.
Listen.
Back bedroom where Mr. Woods stayed at, his roommate, it was damaged. The wall was damaged from where, I don't know what he did, where his bed was at or where he slept at. It was full of nicotine. It took four
Coats.
coats of paint for the ceiling after I even bleached it. In the walls, I had to prime all the walls, scrub all the woodwork and windows. Living room, hallway, and kitchen had black soot on it with a lot of wall damage and woodwork damage. The molding and chair rail was cracked. Just, there was a lot of damage done on the walls and stuff.
There was also some things that you thought were strange, which is that there was ink on the walls. Tell me about that, and light switches and stuff.
Well, on a light switch, and I've sent all the pictures of the home before he moved in and after he moved in. There was like an arrow where the light switch was at, and I saw little X's marked on the wall, red with like a red marker, little tiny X's and arrows. I don't know what they were for or what the purpose of those were.
So, Mr. Cumberland, let me ask you, do you feel that you left the place in a state of disrepair, or do you feel like they're being unreasonable by suing you?
I think they're being unreasonable by suing me. Plus, they just denied me my right to finish cleaning. I was in the process of cleaning when Bill or William or whatever his name is came in. I was mopping.
I thought you called them like your best friends. What? You don't know his name?
It's Bill. I call him Bill. And
okay.
I feel that I was not entitled to finish my cleaning. They would not speak to me after he took the key back.
But, I mean, when he goes to take the key back, it's because you're moving out, right? He's not taking the key back while you're still living there. So why wasn't the cleaning complete, I guess?
He came in the middle of while I was in the process of cleaning and asked me for the key back.
Okay, but why didn't you just keep cleaning?
I tried. I tried to call him. I tried to come over.
No, don't stop cleaning. Finish the cleaning. Like, in other words, before you leave a place, while you're there is at the end, when you've moved out, is when you clean the place. Mr. Owens, did you prevent him from cleaning the place and say, get out and don't come back? Or
No, I did not. I walked in, I just told him that when they leave, I need the keys to the property. That's all I told him.
Right. I mean, there's no cleaning that takes place after. It's before you leave that it takes place. So let's look at the pictures and see how bad it is. These are the pictures before. That's the bathroom. What room is this that I'm looking at?
That's the master bedroom.
Yeah.
Here's a washer dryer, which look actually really nice. Here's this nice kitchen, curtains on the windows. I mean, it looks pretty pristine. I think we could all agree that it looks pretty darn good. And I realize it's 6 years. I mean, and you have to realize it's 6 years. So that's something that judges take into consideration when they're thinking about damages. This is the house after move out. What is this a picture of?
The floor on how dirty it is. You can see where it's light and then where it's real dirty. It looks like he's never mopped it in 6 years.
What is this a picture of?
That is the front door after I scrubbed it. Whatever was on the walls, it was like a black soot. Even after I scrubbed it, I could not get it to stay white. It was like a gray, so I had to prime it and then paint it.
So this isn't a picture of how he left it, correct?
No, it was a lot dirtier than that when I left.
Okay, I got it.
That's
What
after
is
I
this?
cleaned it. Picture of the wall, a picture of the wall where they wore the paint off or did something.
That's in the front bedroom where Mr. Woods lives.
that's
and
Dix's
it
room.
looked like he leaned up against the wall and just sit there and rubbed his back.
Over and over.
He rubbed it over
Yeah,
and over.
something.
Okay. And what's this a picture of?
A burn mark in the laminate floor in the front room. And that's just showing the nicotine and how bad it was after I scrubbed it and everything, and where I sprayed the bleach and it's running down.
Is that the bleach running down that's whitening the wall?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. What is that?
That is the cover to the furnace.
Oh, well, he wouldn't know that it looks like that inside, and that would be a maintenance issue that's on you guys, not on him. But anyway, let's move on. What is this a picture of?
The yellow nicotine on the front door.
What's that?
Burn marks in the utility room on the new linoleum.
What are people doing? Dropping their cigarettes on the floor? Like that's where they put out their cigarettes? Wow. What is this? Same thing.
Yeah, another burn mark, only smaller. And that's not a cigarette burn mark. That's nicotine, and that is a door stopper.
Supposed to be white.
What is this?
And that's
This is where the
damage
duct
on
tape
the
has been
molding.
removed because somebody put duct
No.
tape on the molding?
Yeah. This is just a molding where they scratched. That's the cover to the furnace where it breathes and everything. It's covered in nicotine. You can
Yeah, that's
see where
pretty. That is pretty filthy. Yeah.
I took a lot of scrubbing. And
I'll
that's
say.
where
What's this?
Where that grate just went. That's where the grate went over it on the furnace.
Every blue moon, we got to vacuum those things. What is this?
Just the woodwork damage and wall damage. And duct taped all the registers down.
Okay. How come?
He said they rattled.
Yeah, no,
on the floor.
let me tell you, I'm very sensitive to that kind of rattling, so I get you. But then you got to pay the $15 for a new register.
No, all you had to do was call us and we would have screwed it down.
Yeah, sometimes it's not even the screw. Sometimes it's, the way they fit right in,
That's
what's
damage
this?
to the corner of the wall. Damage to the corner of the wall in the kitchen and going into the utility. More damage on the molding by the door.
How did this damage happen, Mr. Cumberland, this one? Do you know what room this is?
Yes, I do. It's right across from the refrigerator that they had to replace because it was leaking. The refrigerator was leaking, and that's where the water ran. And I told Bill about it. He was aware of it, and he would never fix it.
Okay, let me ask you, Mr. and Mrs. Owens, is this where there was a refrigerator leak?
We bought him a new refrigerator and replaced that refrigerator because it was leaking and it went
Because
out
of the
into
old
my
one
husband's
leaked.
shop.
Right, and so what he's
And we
saying
replaced
is
it.
listen, I need you to listen and not interrupt me. What he is saying is this damage isn't him being neglectful and damaging a wall, it's your faulty refrigerator that leaked and caused that damage. What's your response to that?
I say it was because of that dog he had in there was chewing on the corner. That is not a water damage on that. He had
Oh,
a
I
dog
don't know.
for a while.
I don't know that looks
if
like
it's
dog
water
damage
leak,
versus
so-
water damage.
The water ran right underneath that plate.
What is that
right
plate?
there
No one
is a
cares if
plate.
you replace
That's
the refrigerator. That's not what we're arguing about. What we're arguing
It's a
about is whether this
transition
damage is
strip.
as a result. Do you hear me talking? Don't talk over me. It's never a good idea.
Welcome back to the People's Court. So, who's going to get smoked? Let's go into the courtroom and find out.
This plate is what, Ms. Owens?
Transition plate between the two rooms.
Okay, where's the refrigerator in relation to this?
To the left.
Okay, so is this a hallway or something? Okay.
Yeah, into the utility
So
room.
my question to you, Mr. Cumberland, they say it's dog damage and it's on you. You say it's water damage and it's on them. But how would a refrigerator to the left of that hallway have water damage a hallway away and it's not on the bottom of that wood? It's not standing water because the bottom of this wood is not damaged. So, and this looks like a bite mark. I don't know what caused that damage, but I'm not sure I'm buying what you're saying there. What is this a picture of? I can't tell because it's so blurry. Damage to the wall.
Yeah, the wall.
How about this
molding
one?
Down there by the floor.
Oh, what happened there?
I can't even explain that. I don't even see what it is.
Are you kidding me? There's a patch of paint missing there. Why is that missing? Was that way when you left it?
I don't even know what part of the trailer that's in.
Okay, can you tell me, Ms. Owens, what that is?
It's by the front door where you had the duct tape at.
Oh, that makes sense because I'm looking at the wood and that's exactly what that looks like, that room. What about this patch here? What's that? Why is that missing? Was there duct tape there too?
And there wasn't any duct tape on the wall. It was just like that when we went in to look at it. So I don't know what
Okay,
was there
gotcha.
prior to that.
Okay.
On the front door?
On
On the
front door,
inside.
in the living room.
But is
on
this
the inside?
in the inside on the living room? Yeah.
That was not there when I moved out.
All right. Did you take any pictures of how you left the place that you'd like me to see, Mr. Cumberland?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have a telephone that takes pictures?
I do.
Everybody does now, right? So whenever a tenant leaves some place that they've rented, they should be taking very close-up, slow, painfully slow video to show how great they left the place. And at a minimum, taking pictures. Because the landlord, if they're on the ball, is going to do the opposite. They're going to take pictures of everything that looks so bad. So it's kind of hard to say I didn't leave it that way because I'm looking at the grime that's all over the place and the damage. All right.
Again, I was denied the right to finish cleaning.
I don't know why you keep saying that. You don't have a right to come back after you've given him the keys. You're supposed to take care of this before you leave.
I had not left yet.
What are you saying? You gave him the keys because you were done. You don't give a guy the keys while you're
No,
still
I
paying
didn't
rent.
give them the keys as I was done. He asked for the keys.
Yes, because you were done. That's the only time you give the landlord the keys, is when you're no longer living there. What is this?
Oh, the arrow?
Yeah, the
If you
arrow
flip
and the
that
ink
light,
on the
it would
plate.
shut off all. If you flip that switch, it would shut off the whole internet connection.
Okay, and apparently you had to write on it to remember?
So people would walk in the front door and start hitting lights. When I have company over and someone tries to hit light
Okay.
and they flip that switch
What
and
is
then my whole
this,
internet
Ms.
would go
Owens?
out.
Got it. How about putting "don't touch" with a piece of tape instead of writing on the plate? Of course, it's a $2 plate. It's a $1 something plate. What is this here that I'm seeing, Ms. Owens?
That's just showing how black the wall was and how black it was running. It was like a black soot in there. That was caused from whatever they burned in the oven.
All right, I'm kind of done. I don't want. What happened? You took the doorknobs?
No, ma'am. That was damaged when we were in the process of moving out.
I'm done. All right, from what I'm looking at, I think it is not unreasonable, especially when I look at how this place was given to you, and even taking into account that it was 6 years that you lived there and that there's wear and tear that happens. I am still looking at a very reasonable bill by them, which, by the way, they ended up giving you $400 in credit and deducted it, which they shouldn't if they gave you a washer dryer. But based on what I'm looking at and what their request is, I think it's eminently reasonable, and I am going to order you to pay the plaintiffs $829.71. Verdict for the plaintiffs.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So the plaintiffs prevail, Mr. Cumberland. You got to give them that $829. What are you thinking?
No comment.
No comment. I must say, from looking at it, everybody, around the country has been able to look at it. It looked like it was in pretty bad shape. Would you admit that?
Well, when you're not able to finish cleaning properly because they take the keys away from you, I was not near done cleaning and only moved 5 miles away. They knew that I would do anything to help them.
Well, I don't know if they know that or not. They don't seem to know it, but you could tell them.
They don't know a
about
lot.
that. All right. Well, I'm sorry, but that's the judge's decision. You'll have to live with that. Let's talk to the Owens now. Let me ask you folks, obviously you're elated, I would think, with the judge's decision. You're finally going to get your money. Am I right?
Yeah. Mr. Cumberland had his rent paid until March the 16th, but he did not get all of his stuff out or move out until March the 18th. So he actually had a couple of extra days that we gave him to move out and to clean. So once he moved out, of course we asked for the key, but he called us at any time and said, "Hey, Kay, I want to come over and clean. Would you unlock the house?" And we would have done that. But he never once said that.
Well, he just said he would have done it.
But he was in there 2 days after he had paid his rent. The rent expired on March the 16th, and he actually moved out on the 18th. That's when he got all his big stuff out.
All right. Well, just for the record, he said he didn't finish cleaning, and he would have had you let him. In any event, it's over now. He's gone, and you've got a judgment for $829, which is what you sued him for. So you're the victor. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. All righty. Very good. And now let's join the judges for another session of After the Verdict.
Wow, that was a little bombshell that I heard at the end, that he was 2 days past the time he should have had it cleaned. Right. What do you think?
He said, I was going to clean it, etc.
I was going to clean it when? He didn't clean it in 6 years. I'm not sure when he wants to debate he was going to clean it.
And certainly they had a $400 cleaning deposit that he was supposed to have paid, and I guess he did pay, that they got to keep, but it was
Yeah, but they got to
woefully
keep it, but then they end up giving him instead of paying it back to them, that was really a security deposit, instead of keeping it, they gave him a washer dryer.
Right.
But then they end up giving him credit for it anyway.
And certainly I think they said they spent a couple hundred hours of labor trying to get this thing cleaned up. Can you imagine what it would have cost to contract out that time and that labor? A month's worth of time for somebody, it would cost you a king's ransom. You certainly couldn't get it done for $400 or $800, whatever it might have been.
Right.
But the long and the short of it is, he pretty much left the place kind of trashed, right?
Yeah, and that's your space. If that's how you want to live, I don't recommend it. I also think you can't do that to the property owner. It'll cause stuff to break down. You've got to vacuum those vents because otherwise the air isn't breathing. Right. So there's certain things that you have an obligation to do when you're living in a place, change of filters and everything else that goes with it. But it's one thing to live that way yourself. It's quite another to say, and I'm leaving you these gifts.
Right, and he was there, 6 years altogether?
6 years is a long time.
He did take the batteries for the smoke detectors with him when he left.
That really bothered you.
Well,
that really
I know that he said
you.
they were my batteries and everything, but I had this image of the Grinch taking the ice cubes out of Cindy Lou Who's house there. and the log for the fire or something. It was, he was thorough, let's just say, when he left. He took everything that wasn't nailed down, but I guess if it was his stuff, if it were his batteries, then he can take them.
Okay, this is interesting, and I think it's going to apply to a lot of people. Hey, Harvey, if I ordered something online and they send me the wrong item, am I required by law to return it at my own expense? That is from Ruben, who says he's the #1 fan of People's Court. Thank you, Ruben. Here's the deal. If you don't get what you bargained for, you certainly are not going to have to pay twice for shipping. If you're required to pay for shipping once, you will have to pay for it if they then send you the correct item. But you do not have to pay for shipping once and then pay for it again when you ship it back. You do it one time and that's it. This is a contract. If they don't deliver the right item, they've breached the contract, and you don't have to incur any additional expenses as a result. We'll see you next time.